We were very excited to do this panel, and we wanted to figure out a way to encourage the women in our community to get more involved in the community. And so when we were thinking through how we wanted this panel to go, we really wanted to divide up the types of ways that you could get involved in your community in different capacities. So we have unelected officials. That was Mo. I actually used to work in city government too, so hey, this is also kind of fits. We have an elected representative, Miss Ulysses Love. Yes, we have a chief of police here at ACC, Chief Disher. We have a nonprofit founder, Miss Emlyn Lee. And we have a political organizer, Miss Shellie Hayes-McMahon. Shellie, I'm so sorry. My bad, I was watching a TV show last night with the name Sally on it over and over again, so that's probably why it's in my head. And so what I will have y'all do is go through and introduce yourself. Just give yourself a brief introduction of who you are, and we'll start off with you, Ms. Ulysses, if that's okay.
All right, so good morning. So my name is actually Yalisha, but I answer Yalicia, Yalencia, Letitia. I don't know where the T came in, but it's there. As long as the sh is in there, I know they're talking about me. But I am currently the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Elgin, Texas. I have been on City Council now 3 years in my second term, which means they actually liked me, so I got to stay. I'm actually doing something positive in the community. I also volunteer on many other fronts outside of city government. Of course, we are the policy makers in the city. We govern the policies. We have our constituents, what would be you guys within your own cities if you're not in Elgin. We do have an Elginite way in the back. I know Miss Sonia see me. Yeah, raise your hand. Welcome, team, welcome. So, I mean, I'm always available. I am a board of director of the Faith House for women and children fleeing domestic violence. I also am volunteer with Bastrop County Cares. I am a certified doula, and I delivered my first baby 2 weeks ago. So that is very exciting. As much as I volunteer in the community, I make my boys volunteer in the community. Unfortunately, I don't have any girls, so they couldn't come with me. But I am very active, and as we go through this panel, I'm excited to be up here with these beautiful women. I know the MC said that if some people got up to comb their hair this morning, I got locks. So all I did was take my bonnet off. I did brush my teeth at least. But I'm excited, so I looked over, you know, I'm ready.
Awesome. Is this not working? Hello, testing. Can y'all hear me? I like to stand up. I feel like my juices flow better. Hi, I'm Gizette Disher. Hi, Geneva. I am the new Chief of Police for Austin Community College. I just started. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I started August 4th, so I'm just 3 months into my tenure. Prior to that, I was with the City of Austin Police Department. I was an assistant chief for 2 years. I did 29 years with the City of Austin, and I wanted to continue my community service, so I decided to come to ACC. What's so ironic is that I started at ACC, my first full-time job, back in 1989, when the Northridge campus was brand new, and so everything comes back full circle, and I really enjoy working with the community. At APD, I was community engagement coordinator. I was a district representative. So I said, you know what, instead of just retiring, sitting at home, spending money, I wanted to do something to give back to the community. And so I decided to apply with ACC. And I love it because ACC has different campuses in different communities. I love working with people, and I just love telling my testimony because I had my ups and downs, but by the grace of God and my parents, I'm where I'm at today. I always give my parents credit because they came to this country from Panama with, Panama, okay. And they didn't know anybody, but they wanted a better life, and so they came to this country and they built a great foundation, they built a family, and so that's why I'm where I'm at today, because of them. And so I'm also on the board for Change One, which is a nonprofit where they help foster kids aging out the foster care system. So I'm on that board, and I used to be on the Jeremiah program, which I think Jeremiah program was over here. I was on their board of directors, and so I really enjoy stepping out of my comfort zone because I was very fortunate. My family, of course, mom and dad, married 51 years, so family looks different for everybody, but I like to get out of my comfort zone, be uncomfortable to find out, you know, how other people living, change my lens, because it's not always about what my lens looks like. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you.
Woo. I just got to cut in 1 second. She said 89. She looks so beautiful and young. I was born in 89. I had to do a whole double take.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Emlyn Lee. I'm the founder of Brave Communities. We're a local nonprofit which is about cultivating relationships. And so it's building relationships, awareness, voices, and engagement, which is the acronyms for Brave. And so I was born and raised in Maryland, but I've been in Austin since 2001. I did a lot of international work, a lot of social programs and social impact work abroad. And then about 2015, that was kind of a change of heart where I was focusing a lot on things that were happening in the States. And so I kind of put away my passport and started focusing a lot on Brave. And so now Brave offers programs for young people from 14 to 24 to kind of be critical thinkers and to be understanding what the social issues are and how they can use their voice to bring change. And then we also host pretty regular community events. There are usually panel discussions or movie screenings and discussions. But next week, I invite you all to our annual Brave Fest. I think there's a little flyer in your bag, or feel free to come by our table. So it's our annual music festival and dance festival. It's free to the community. It's going to be at Central Machine Works next week from 2 to 7. And anyway, so yeah, we also still do a lot of global programs. We just finished facilitating a U.S. Department of State program. So we had 10 young leaders. They were social entrepreneurs from the North Africa region, and they came and we matched them with local social impact programs here so they could co-consult and co-learn from each other of what they're doing in Austin, what we're doing in Austin, and what they're doing in their home countries. And so we're all about being brave and making Austin a more united and belonging place.
Good morning. My name is Shellie Hayes-McMahon. I am the CEO of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, Planned Parenthood Advocates of Texas, Planned Parenthood Texas Votes PAC, and Planned Parenthood Texas Votes Victory Fund. My work is, we are tasked with the political work of defending Planned Parenthood in Texas. So we have all 254 counties of Texas advancing the mission of Planned Parenthood, ensuring that everyone in Texas has access to the health care they deserve, including all sexual and reproductive health care, gender-affirming care, and access to abortion. Let's see. I am also the board chair of Big Brothers Big Sisters, Central Texas. And I will say I'm the first black woman to do that. I am also the first black woman to lead the political work for Planned Parenthood in Texas. So, you know, I take my job very, very seriously. We know that black women, the healthcare landscape for black women in America and in Texas is terrible. Our maternal mortality rates are skyrocketing. So the work that we do, not just in advancing the mission of Planned Parenthood, but it is also just making sure that we have access to health care, period, in Texas. I am also the treasurer of the Williamson County Democratic Party. I sit on the board of the Lift Collective and the Barbara Jordan Leadership Institute, which I love. One of my staff went through one of your programs, yes. We also like to think of ourselves as a leadership hub because we know that in this work, especially in nonprofit work, the labor can be very heavy for us, but we are always really light on leadership for people who look like us. So my job, I feel, is to make sure that young black women and young women of color can come through my system. They can either come out of our college programs, they can come through our fellowship programs, and then just go out into the world and do what they're going to do. I try to make them, build them into fully formed professionals before we send them out into the nonprofit world. They can stay with me, or they're like those little dandelion things where you blow on them and they go out into the world and they do what they're supposed to do. So I am very passionate about ensuring that our lives belong to us, that we have bodily autonomy, and any decision that you make about your body is between you and your doctor, not you and any politician, not you and Greg Abbott, not you and Ted Cruz, not you and Ken Paxton. No politician is more qualified to make decisions about your body than you are.
All right, to introduce myself again, my name is Samantha Sheffield. I work with Miss Loretta and Lisa in the ACC Community and Government Affairs office. I actually grew up in Austin, and really, I think around college, maybe a little bit before college was when Barack Obama was running for the first time, and I just remember not being able to vote and being like, well, this seems like a really important thing that young people should get involved in. And that was when I kind of first really got inspired to start getting active in my community through just different government relation. And so I got really passionate about working in nonprofit and government space, and ended up actually working through the city and through a lot of local nonprofits across my time, and ended up at ACC, which I love and adore so much. It's been such a perfect conglomeration of all the things that I really love doing. And so that's just a little bit about me, but it's not about me because it's about these four, luckily. And so I'm gonna have y'all transition into our first question, which is, what really led you to get involved into your work? Was it a lifelong passion? Was there something that sparked you? How did you get into the space that you're in?
I guess I'll start. If y'all would have asked me this 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, would you be an elected official? I probably would have said you was smoking that stuff. Because I didn't have no interest in high school or in college to be any part of any type of government. Matter of fact, I didn't know who city council was or what they even did. I didn't know who really ran the government. I thought it was the president and the governor and all them top people up there. I didn't understand about local government. And what people don't realize is local government is more important than your state government, because we're the ones who control the things that's actually happening in your city. Now, we do have to follow some state guidelines, but if you don't want your taxes increased, you might want to get involved with who your local government is. And that's not just city, that's also county as well. And your school board. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of your taxes go to the school, so you want to see what they're doing as well. For me, what started me on this path of city government is I had lived in Elgin. My family grew up in Elgin. I grew up in East Austin in Chalmers. Anybody remember Chalmers? That's the real hood. So, I tell my kids all the time, y'all suburban kids, y'all do not know what the projects is. So yeah, that's the east side. So for me, me and my husband bought a house, and we were the first people on the street to have our house built. Well, per city and state ordinance, when developers want to come in, say apartments want to come in, they only have to notify the first 200 yards. Technically, it's the first two houses. We were house number 5, so we never got a notification. Luckily, it just happened that one of the people that were getting their house built came by and saw a notice on their door, and they were like, hey, what is this? And it was that some developers wanted to build apartments right next to us. When I say it was right next to us, it was literally like this. So that meant that we would have no privacy, defeated the purpose of having a privacy fence, defeated the purpose of me wanting to move here with my kids, you know, to have some type of generational anything that I can pass down. I am the first in my family to own a house. So it meant a lot for me. And so what happened was I did my research, and I kept hearing people talking about go to your city council, because on the paper it said, you know, have a public hearing. By state law and city ordinance, they have to have a public hearing. I never knew what it meant, so I just followed the directions on the paper. I showed up, and they did the first hearing, saying they're gonna build these apartments. There was gonna be 5 stories, which means they were really towering over our subdivision. So what I did, me and another neighbor, we went around the entire neighborhood, over 320 houses, and did a petition. I realized then, I've always talked a lot. I did speech and debate in high school, but I realized in that very moment that my voice was powerful, and that people actually listened to what I was stating and understanding, like, this not only affects you, but affects your children. You know, you want us to be able to ride our bikes down the street, but then we have an apartment that has 5 different entryways. That means it's cutting off our sidewalk. We're the only neighborhood that doesn't have a park, so our sidewalks are important to us. And we took those 320 signatures to the council meeting. We packed that council room with over 75 residents, and about 20 of them voiced the same concern, and so they had to listen on city council. You get 3 minutes to speak at your city council about whatever you want to talk about. So I tell people all the time, if you have a grievance, come to city council. That means not only your neighbor is going to hear it, but the entire city is going to hear what you have, and it might be the same thing that they're having an issue with. So go voice your concern. So in that very moment for me, I realized my voice is very powerful. I got involved even more in the community. I ran my first election. I lost by 4 votes. I knew 5 neighbors who didn't vote. Why? Because black people feel that they vote don't matter. And I'm here to tell you that it does matter. And it obviously mattered because they were like, I didn't know you were running. Well, you should have been doing your research. But I ran the next year and I won by a total of 320. So it was surpassed. It's also me sitting up there on the dais, people realize like they're so used to having, no offense, the seasoned saints running everything. But generations matter because what my mayor, who is much older than me, I'm learning from her. And as I'm sitting on the dais, our next generation is obviously our high school students. So we have to teach everyone, and we all learn something. Everyone on that dais has a different story and a different background and a different path, but everybody has the same mission: better for our communities. So that is why I came into this role.
How I got involved in community service, like I said, I started with the Austin Police Department, but my dad was in the Army. He did 8 years in the Army. He was a military police, and he was very pro-law enforcement. My mom was an LVN by trade. She actually went to the ACC nursing school here back in the late 70s, early 80s, and so I've always seen them give back. She also was a secretary at Austin High School, attendance secretary, so they always gave back. And so not until I became a police officer did I realize how powerful like my voice and how I could help other people in the community, because I realized, like I said, living in your little sheltered world, and when I was 24 years old when I went out and I worked out here in East Austin, I didn't realize the bad that was happening in the world because I lived a sheltered life. And so I realized later on in my career that I could make a difference by just providing my input, the resources I know to help those in the community who are less fortunate, who don't have those opportunities. And so that's how I got involved. And then, like I said, when I retired, I said I want to continue that service, and I decided to join some nonprofits because it's really important to get out there and see how you can help. You know, don't just hoard all that information. Go out there and reach a hand to those who are less fortunate or who don't know what resources are out there. So I really enjoy working with the community, and that's how I got involved. And I'll continue at least for another 10 years, so yes.
One of my personal mantras is discover the similarities and share your differences, and so that's kind of been my personal motto. I actually fell into international travel because right after university, I went and taught English in China. One, because I was a little bit too lazy to fill out the Peace Corps application, and then 2, because that's my ethnic background. And so I had an aunt that was visiting my parents, and she was living in China at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll go, find me a job out there. And this is back in the mid-90s, and so, you know, pre-internet, pre-development of China, so it was very underdeveloped back then. But long story short, I fell into tourism, and then when 9/11 happened, that kind of changed tourism, and it changed the world, right? But definitely tourism, and so all the travel companies had to shut down doors, you know, like basically people were scared of traveling. And so what did I do? I actually started a travel company, and so that was one of my first things that made me kind of, when you hear news and you hear what the world is saying, but you hear what God's telling you to do, that kind of made me realize, wait, they're putting fear into us, because I know that people that don't look like me or don't pray like me, they aren't all terrorists, right? And so that was kind of that narrative, and so that's what made me start Cultural Embrace, which is the travel company I used to have. And then fast forward, in 2015, I had sold that company. I was working with the study abroad program provider that had acquired it, and from there, it kind of changed too, where like now we were focusing a lot on the universities. And I understand the safety and health of American students and everything, but it was just kind of shifted the focus on like making sure the American students and the universities were happy and all the liability things versus the local communities. So it kind of shifted my heart into, okay, like what else is going on? But at that time in 2015, 2016 was when Mike Brown was murdered, and I lived in St. Louis for a couple years. Freddie Gray was murdered, and I was born and raised in Maryland. And so it kind of put a shift, and there was that huge narrative of like, police on one side, you know, community on the other side. And so I was like, no, I know that we can reconcile our differences. And that really was kind of what started my focus on Brave and just kind of having these community conversations, working with young people to kind of like just talk about and hold space for it. So I always feel like there's something major in the news that's happening or in our streets, and it's like, okay, let me have that like kind of spark my interest. So while I learn and unlearn, let's have the community kind of discover our similarities and share our differences.
Honestly, I forgot the question. That's okay. But
All right, so what led you to get involved in the work that you do?
okay, there it was. Actually, my journey began with becoming a mom. I think we think we're not advocates, we think we're not legislators, we think we're not politicians, but every day, if you are on a motherhood journey, you are advocating all the time. My journey began because I have a Black autistic son. And my fight began with the LISD school board, just fighting the school system to make sure that my child was getting the least restrictive environment for him to thrive and blossom inside of his neighborhood school. It didn't happen. We fought it out. It's fine. But what I learned during that was that my voice for my children and for my community was very important, because that fight led to me running for city council in Cedar Park. I live in Cedar Park, I live in Wilco. Lost that race, 323 votes. It was fine, I got over it. But it also led me to another movement. I went to work for an organization called Annie's List. And what Annie's List does is they support women running for office in Texas, across the state of Texas. And it's extraordinarily important that women are in higher office. There are studies across the world where women are in leadership. Their entire countries do better. Here in the United States, Colorado has a 50% plus one majority in their legislature. State's doing fantastic. New Mexico, same thing. So we know when women are in leadership, everyone does better. And we know when Black women are in leadership, we bring everyone with us. No one gets left behind. So that work at Annie's List, I also figured out that I prefer being behind the scenes in politics and helping other women get elected. So the work that I do with Planned Parenthood, besides helping women get elected and fighting for access to health care in the state, it is really just, it is rooted in my history as a descendant of enslaved people. It is rooted in the history of, I am the descendant of breeding slaves. My 23andMe is wild, y'all, wild. But knowing that, I know what plantation my great-grandparents came from. I know my history in this country. So as we are moving backwards, all I'm hearing is my great-grandmother's words. I'm hearing my grandmother's words. I'm out in Williamson County filling in a ballot that has bubbles instead of the it was so triggering. I don't know if y'all, hang on, did everybody vote? Yes. Okay, we can move on. Otherwise, we were gonna have to have a moment in here. But that moment of having them give me a paper ballot and then I'm having to bubble it in, it really just pulled me back to, because I was born, I'm 55, right? So my parents got the right to vote 5 years before I was born. So history is always very present, right? So it's the work that we have to do to make sure that this state does not continue sliding back into Jim Crow, because we are gleefully sliding back into Jim Crow, not just in Texas, but across the United States. It's so important. And it takes all of us. But if you don't see faces like mine, and you don't see faces like Emlyn's, and you don't see faces like, tell me your name one more time. No, I know you, Gizette. If we don't see our faces, it looks like we're not welcome in leadership. It looks like we're not welcome in the political sphere. And it's very important for our young people to see these faces, to see people who look like us. It's important for us to work at the, anybody been an election worker before? That's like, oh my God, it is so important. It is so important for us to show up at the polls, not just to vote, but to run elections, to be election judges, to be associate election judges, to be poll workers. They pay you too, just FYI. But the intimidation factor, that's voter suppression. It's voter oppression, and it's the playbook in Texas. So if we're not showing up not just to vote, but we are showing up to represent our communities, and the fact that, yes, we should be here, and yes, we can be here, and you cannot stop us from being here, y'all, I mean, woo, we got work to do. So much work to do. Anyway, that's my story. Okay, go ahead.
I'm really glad Shellie brought up the election. There actually is a local election going on right now, and we have a vendor that works in our office who is sharing information about that election. If you didn't know it was going on, that is also by design to try to get lower voter turnout, so that way bills and amendments can pass easier. So go talk to our our government affairs office. They're outside, and very happy to tell you about the election. But I also love that you talked about, Shellie, how hard this work can be, especially with the trauma, the history, all those pieces that are tied into trying to engage in your community and society when we're in a really hard place and have been in a really hard place. So my next question is, what's one way that each of you are able to really take care of yourself? And I'm not necessarily just talking about like a spa day or something like that, although would be great, I'm sure. But what are those things that ladies can implement into their everyday that really helps you be able to sustain and take care of yourself in this really hard environment?
I value my time over anything. I don't go into spaces where I'm not valued. Just period. It's too draining. It's too much, and the expectation of Black women to carry everything in these spaces and in the political world is too much. So I don't go anywhere where I don't know what my value is, and I'm not appreciated.
A lot of like personal time, and that whether that's like God time or journaling and reading, and cuddling with my cat, so, but I think also, my outlet then is, I love food and I love to cook, but I don't feel like I cook often, or nowadays it's just like throwing something in the air fryer. So sometimes it's like cooking and preparing a full meal and like, doing the chopping, that kind of brings me a little bit of peace and joy. I'm glad like my family's not here because I don't do that often. So, but yeah, I feel like it's just finding that like God like time for me.
I've made it a mission not to get on social media on Sundays. It really, I noticed I was getting just really addicted to TikTok and Facebook, and so Sundays I do not get on social media. I don't check my ACC phone all the time, maybe once on the weekend, and then I spend time with my family. I don't watch a lot of TV. My husband and I decided maybe like a year ago to just not watch TV, and so we'll get on our iPads or just kind of give our brains a rest, because in my line of work we see a lot of bad, a lot of tragedy, and so sometimes now that I'm out of it and I'm here at ACC, sometimes I don't want to see it, and so it there's a lot of things on social media that just misinformation, fake news, and I can't do it. So I like to shop, and I just like to just chill out sometimes and travel. Traveling is good. So that's how so that's how I decompress.
She got that retirement money. That's why she can travel. I'm just kidding. And just so y'all know, I don't even get paid. I get a stipend of $113 a month on council. So I have to work my real job. For me, it is mental health. I have a degree in mental health pre-counseling. I'm finishing up my clinical mental health degree right now for my master's. But I work at Ascension Seton, so I work in neurology and psychology. So for me, mental health is very, very important. I urge people to see counselors and therapists, because there are times, even like for our young girls and boys, they don't want to talk to their parents about everything, although I urge my kids to tell me everything. I want to know who it is and who said it and why you're feeling this way. I promise not to go jump them because I fight kids. I didn't say that. Put that up. I didn't say that. All right. But it's important to have a healthy outlet. I talk to my husband about everything. He probably get annoyed with it, but I also have a therapist that I talk to. Sometimes you just need to get certain things out that, you know, if you tell your spouse or your loved one, you don't want them constantly having to worry about you, because sometimes it's not really that you're feeling this way like something. It's just sometimes you just need to get it out. And you know, if you tell your spouse, they're going to be like, okay, is there anything I can do? What needs to happen? So for me, it's mental health. Every morning I wake up and I drink my little 2 bottles of water. Just because I know once I get running and moving, I'm going to stop, and then, you know, you forget about yourself sometimes. So every morning I drink my bottle of water. I either go ride my bike, because it's free, or I go walk, because that's free too. So I go walk the neighborhood, I take the long route around, and I just have time with myself. I have time with God. I talk about the things that are going on. Being in my political part, there's always something going on. There's always somebody who seems to want to be after you. Anything you say, they're going to twist it. So as you stated, I try to stay off of social media, and I don't answer my city phone or my personal phone on Sundays. I tell people, if y'all really need to get a hold of me, y'all know Jeremiah's number, Elijah's number, and my husband's number. It must not be that important then if you don't call them. So taking care of yourself is very important. It's just getting centered with yourself, knowing that, as you stated, like if you walk in a room and you know you're not valued, unfortunately I do not always have that luxury. So when I walk in some rooms, I kind of look for us, and I try to pick us out, then I know I'm good. It's like driving down the road. You know, you're going out of town, you got to stop at the corner store, you got to go to the restroom. Before I get out, I count how many black people in there, because I know it's probably not for me. But I'd say, like, just taking care of yourself, eating your fruit, your veggies, drinking water. Water is so important. You notice when your body is needing water. You start getting chills, you get shaky, and people think, oh no, it's probably my blood pressure or my diabetes. It's not. Drink some water. It's what you need. So just taking care of your mental.
Thank you for saying that, Yolicia. So you also brought up the point that sometimes there's not a lot of payment in this work. There's not necessarily a lot of money going into helping your community, and sometimes you can't get a full-time job doing that. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And so thinking about how we kind of, what path we decide to go into, what is a piece of advice that you would give others who maybe can't have to work full-time so they can have benefits to support their family, but maybe there are other ways they can get involved? What are one pieces of advice that you would encourage this room of women to think about when getting involved?
For me, on the government side, yeah, I do have to work a full-time job. But there are a lot of people in the community, as you stated, who want to be involved, but because their jobs are a 9 to 5, I'm blessed, and I tell people all the time, I'm blessed to basically create my hours. As long as I get 40 hours in, they do not bother me. So I'm able to rip and run and do things that other people, unfortunately, do not have that privilege to do. So for them, I tell them, reach out to your council members. We have emails, we have cell phones. Now, do not answer unknown numbers, so text me first, and then I'll call you back. But there's plenty of ways to get involved in your community. We have people that want to hand out food. There's churches that do that. Get onto your city website. You can find many nonprofits that are doing things that might be an interest to you. But I always say, if you want to get involved in the government part, is to reach out to your council members. If you have something that you want to talk about, but you know that you're not going to be able to make it to that 6:30 meeting or 7 p.m. meeting, you email them. You can email the mayor, the city manager, your city secretary, email all the government in your city, and they will respond. And we have times that on council that people can't get in, so they write letters, and we all get one on the dais. So we all know exactly what's happening. And it's stated in the public that we have received a letter from such and such. Now, it's not going to give out all your information, but just know that you are being listened to, you are being heard. Just reach out. Don't just hold everything in just because you feel that you're not going to be heard. Reach out, because whoever, it's multiple people on your, it's not just one person running your city government. It's multiple people, so someone's going to get back to you.
I would say find your passion. What are you passionate about? Do you want to work with kids? You want to work with domestic violence survivors, sexual assault survivors? Whatever your passion is, and look into that, and then find, there's a lot of nonprofits here in Austin, I realize that, and a lot of nonprofits. And so just find out what works for you. My journey obviously is a little different because I was in law enforcement, but on this journey I learned that I made an impact whoever's lives I've touched on a call, and also being a woman of color. And when I promoted through the ranks at APD, I would show those that I worked with, look, I'm here, I'm valued, and you're going to listen to what I tell you to do. Because as a woman, when you're in a leadership role, they want to question what you do, and when you do something like, why is she doing that? But when the previous male did that, it was okay. And so I just learned on my journey that working in East Austin, working with kids who were less fortunate, didn't have the opportunities, that I needed to do something, and that's why I decided to join different nonprofit boards, because I want to give back. And so just find out what your passion is. Everybody's passion's different. I wanted to be a teacher, funny thing, when I was young. I used to sit down, pretend I had a class, and I read a book, and now come back full circle. I'm here at ACC, and hopefully I have an opportunity to teach, as an adjunct instructor. So I think it's great. So just find out what you're passionate about and go with that.
That 3 T's, right? The time, talent, and treasure. And so if, the treasure is limited, then time and talent. And to Shelley's point, right? If, your time, you want to value your time and how you want to preserve that and not be connected with something that's going to add more exhaustion to a very busy life. So then it's your talents and your gifts. And that doesn't always have to be serving on a board, but at least it's going and being involved, and that could be anything from, for me, it's community and people, right? I mean, the older I get, though, sometimes I like being in my little shell and cave, but at the same time, even today, you are here, so that's a huge, step up. So give yourselves a round of applause. And today, making a point just to meet 3 different people, and just introduce yourselves, because we all have that collective interest already to be in community, understanding where, and holding space for women. So that already there is the same interest. So I think that's the part that we all have different talents, but then all of our different talents can build a bigger and stronger and more connected community.
So I think for me, my encouragement for you, I don't do mean girls at all. So when you are out there trying to find the thing that you want to get involved in, don't be pressured into trying to do everything. Just because Lulicia does 15 things doesn't mean that you have to do 15 things, right? Emlyn doing 90 things. You don't have to do 90 things. So don't be pressured into thinking you have to do, I've got a phone bank, I've got a text bank, I've got to go knock doors, I've got to go collect food, I've got to go find menstrual products, I've got to go, I got a text message, I got to do it. You don't have to do everything. That exhausts your mind and your heart and your soul. And you want to have something left, right, for yourself. So as you pick the things, and I use pick for intentionally, as you pick the things that you want to get involved in, make sure it's what you want to do. And you're not doing it because of peer pressure. You're not doing it because you saw it on social media and it looks so fantastic. And then you get there and you're like, oh my God, they are so disorganized. I'm an organized person. You know what being voluntold is? That's what happens. As soon as you get in there and you're like, you know what, y'all could be doing this better, somebody's gonna say, why don't you take it over? That would be great. Thank you. And then you may not have time for it. So just be very intentional about the missions that you pick. Be very intentional about the work that you do outside of your paying job. And then just be very intentional about just protecting your heart and protecting your soul when you get into this work, because there is there is heavy work in our communities, especially when it comes to working for women and children in this, not just this city, but in this state. So if you're going to get into those things, make sure you've got backup. You have a good therapist, you have a good partner, you have a good circle of friends. So that part of your work does not become so heavy that you can't take care of yourself, right? So that's my advice, is just be really picky about what you decide your passion is or what you decide your community involvement wants to be, but just take care of you first and then everything else.
I think protecting your time is so important, and I know that's one of the sessions that is happening today, coincidentally, but I just really want to drive that part home of protecting your time, of you don't have to say yes to everything. Pick and choose what you can say yes to. My therapist and I are working on me saying no to new things, which has been a whole fun process for me, but it's been really nice because I can dedicate myself more to what I say yes to, and I don't let people down when I can't do it. And so being able to use the power of no thank you, I think is very, very important. We do have some time for audience questions, so I'm gonna give y'all just a moment to think if you wanna ask a question, and I'll have Miss Loretta bring the mic around. But while you're thinking about that, she also has a little acknowledgement.
Yes. I want to acknowledge that this is an on-the-spot on-the-spot moderator. So we want to thank Samantha for being here, stepping in, taking over. And I especially want to thank all the panelists, but certainly Miss Love. I called her early this week because, as your program reads, there was another elected official on the program. And she unfortunately told us that she couldn't come. I contacted Miss Love, who was at a conference in Fort Worth, and she told me 2 nights ago, I'll be there. She's here. We want to thank folks for stepping up, saying yes when you could say no. Your time is precious, but we really appreciate them for being here. I also want to appreciate and acknowledge my supervisor, Dr. Chris Cervini, is here supporting us today. He's over community and government affairs, and we're, again, just real excited and delighted that he's able to join us. And we will have a word from one of our other teammates to talk about the importance of the election at some point during today. How many of you all have already voted? All right, all right. So those of you who have not, you got Tuesday. Okay, important, and Cassie will talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But just again, thank you for, you guys look so nice out here today. I'm serious. This is really, really exciting to be part of this, and want to give you a chance to kind of interact with the panelists as well. 2 or 3 questions, anybody? All right, all right.
Good morning, beautiful panel and everybody. Appreciate everyone for being here. My question would be, what would be your dream impact of legacy in general? And anyone can answer. I don't have any specific person.
I think if I had this dream, like, impact, it would be for everyone to have, like, with the education, then also the jobs and the, just the life that everybody has, at least the basic, everybody has basic needs, right? A home, food, you know, what else? I mean, just home and food and clothes, right? I mean, just something to wear on the back. But at least if everybody can have that, that would be the dream impact for me.
I think for me, there's it would be a legacy of women in leadership, probably in the political space. There is, weirdly this year, there's a scholarship named after me for advancing Black women in the political space. So my dream would be for the women who come through that scholarship program to advance to the highest offices in the state, in the country, for them to be amazing leaders wherever they are, and that every dime that was invested in my name to benefit them goes out and benefits the community. So that's it.
I work in a church. How would you, or what would be your advice to pulling in young people to work in a community?
Inside of a religious community or just inside of the community? Either or. You know, you got to meet young people where they are. My staff, the average age is 27. They're extraordinarily, they do this all the time. They're very, very young. And what I have found is if I am not open to collaborating with them in leadership, if we are always looking at them as labor and not collaborators with us, they're not going to work with us. If we're expecting them to work for us and not with us, they will stay away. So it's being, I keep using the word intentional, oh my goodness. You have to be intentional about how you invite young people in. Because if you are not inviting them in to help you lead or to help you solve, they're not going to help. They just, these kids, let me tell you, whew. You know how you'll sit in here and you're like, I've been an employee at Dell for 25 years. I've been here. I worked at Costco for 15 years. I was a manager at Costco for 15 years. These children are like, I worked here for 5 minutes and I bounced. And do you know what I'm saying? And they are the same about movements. If they get into a movement and this movement is not serving them, they will bounce and won't think twice about it. So it is, they're built different, as they like to say. So my organization, I am very intentional about our leadership ladder and our ladder of engagement for them. My staff gets $2,500 a year for professional development. So I have to be invested in them, and I have to prove to them that I'm invested in them. And that is a mind shift for older people, because we're just kind of like, well, we've been here, I've done this, I've got the experience, you should listen to me. They don't do that, like at all. They just don't. So it has been a huge shift for me to let go of power and let them do them, as they like to say. That they have to do them, and they're fantastic. I have a team that takes care of an entire state. They are at the ledge every day. They went through 3 sessions, just doing all of this stuff. I'm extremely online. They make me record videos all the time, but if they say it's going to work, I have to take a leap of faith and just say, all right, this is y'all's world. You say it's going to work. Let's do it. And we've been successful. So it's really allowing them, and I hate using the word allow because to me it feels very white supremacist to use the word allow, but it is really finding them the space to lead inside of whatever you're trying to do at the church, at the school, in your community. Do you have a young person on your board? Are you intentional about putting young people on your board so they have a voice, and them not having to beg you for power, but making sure power is there when they're ready for it?
I agree. I think she answered it for all of us. It's bridging that generational gap. It really is. I'm one of the youngest on my council. How old am I? 36. I gotta ask my twin every now and again. Yes, I'm 36. I'm one of the younger ones, so I'm still like a big kid. I do play a lot. I'm very serious when I need to be, but I play a lot. The people at the church say it too, but they know I'm serious when it comes to it. And so the older generation, they love it because I keep them on their toes. They never know which Alicia they're gonna get. And the younger generation is the same thing. They don't know which Missy Alicia they're gonna get. But it's allowing them to do what they feel. Whenever we hold community events and church events, we always ask the youth, like this Sunday, plug out there. We have youth choir annual tomorrow, 8 a.m. at Mount Carmel in Elgin. We're letting the youth do their own thing. I mean, obviously they have to sing the songs we taught them, but we let them come in how they want to come in, and they have a lot of fun with it. And then actually, the older generation, they see it, and they have a lot of fun too. It's just like you said, sometimes the older generation don't want to let go of the power. Y'all have Juneteenth in y'all communities? Yeah. Who's on there? The older generation or just majority of the younger? See, in Elgin, it's the older generation. We have to get on them every now and again and say, hey, we don't do that no more. Or the younger ones are just like, that's not fun to us anymore. Or we're losing people because, you know, God calls us home when it's time, and the older generation slowly goes out, and then the new generation comes in. And if the older generation would give that information, all that knowledge that they have to the younger generation, all they're going to do is twist it around and make it even better, even funner for everybody to be more involved in, and that's what they want. It's just bridging that generational gap, and like Shellie said, allowing them to just play with it, do what they do. They're going to turn it up.
I'll echo exactly like what Shellie was saying. We have a youth program for 14 to 24-year-olds, and it's really like just holding that space for them to share their ideas and their passions, and then kind of like letting them co-create what community means for them. So for our community events this past year, it's like really letting the Brave Young Leaders co-create what they wanted for the events, you know, so they were basically leading it. We wanted them to moderate, we wanted them to kind of plan it out. And then next year our goal too is kind of echoing, is to make that generational gap. And so the projects they'll be working on will then serve and support the senior citizens. And so there'll be that where they can learn the history and the wisdom and knowledge of elders, but then also have that young spirit and that young energy, because that's what the community is all about, these elders and youngers now. So
We'll make this our last question.
Oh, she's hiding, okay.
I'm sorry.
Real quick, Ms. Loretta, I want to say ditto with everything they said. I see it with the police department. We've kind of laxed our hiring standards. We accept tattoos now. Back in the 80s and 90s, tattoos, man buns now. So it's every industry. It's just everywhere. We gotta bridge that gap.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Go ahead.
Good morning. You all have done such a phenomenal job. The event is beautiful. My question was about intimidation. Being women, and I think Shellie spoke about reading the room when you walk into it. And, Officer Gizette, I just wanted to tell you, Officer Andrew, I'm a Northridge student right now, and he said that you were new on board, you were fantabulous, and that's the word he used, and he said, come by and see you at Northridge. But anyway, you're doing an excellent job. So proud to see you in your position. It's about intimidation. So when you walk into a room, how do you handle that? Because you know how you're going to be received by, the ones that have been in there, and if it's a lack of women, how do you balance that? How do you stay in control, not be intimidated to silence your voice or bring it down? I guess that's the best way I can articulate that question.
I walk in my confidence.
All right.
I walk up in there like I own this mud, okay? I don't know who y'all think y'all are, but I was invited in here, so I belong here. And that's how I have to sit on a dais, because when I first got elected, it was that. There was like, oh, she's new, she's young, this is not how it goes, this is not how it's gonna be. Change is okay. And sometimes you have to be that one to insert that change and let them know you belong here. I have to put a man down, unfortunately. I told him I don't appreciate who you think you're talking to, but I grew up on the east side. that was. So, yeah, I walk into any room with my head held high. Why? Because our ancestors did it for us. Elgin, we have the first black mayor. It took many people to be on that council for her to be the first black mayor of Elgin. And my grandmother, she was the first black student to be integrated in Elgin at a school, because, Elgin didn't want to do it when everybody else was supposed to do it. And so my generations, my family before me, they've taught me to, we belong here. Even if you walk into a room and you feel like, oh, I'm the only one here, I'm here for a reason. Y'all gonna listen to everything I gotta say.
Piggyback off Felicia, yes, that is true, because I'm the first black female chief here at ACC, and so I've noticed some of the suggestions, ideas. It's like, oh, we tried that before. Well, we're gonna do it again. It's 2025, and this is what's gonna happen because I said so. And so just trying to find different ideas to be creative. For the most part, everybody's great, but I think when you're so used to, because I had one of the officers say, I've never worked for a female before. Well, I'm just like a male, except I have different parts, and I just had different ideas, and so just confidence. Even if you're not sure, you have mentors. I have people I can turn to. I have other people in the college that say, hey, Gizette, if you need help, please come to me. So yes, even if you're not sure, I learned that at APD. You walk in with confidence, and then you go home and you're like, okay, well, did I do the right thing? Okay, did I say the right thing? Okay, I want to make sure, and have people mentors, people that have been there before you. I have, Chief Victorian, the chief of police in Waco, people that I can turn to, but you have to be confident. We all have insecurities. We all do. Because I wasn't sure if I could have done the job, and I'm like, Gizette, come on now. And so I'm coming in, making changes, a lot of hopefully good changes, and I have the support of my immediate supervisor, so that helps too, having the support.
I can't add anything. I mean, really, I'm much more I feel more comfortable behind the scenes. That's why when I came in, I was like, Samantha, I didn't realize this is like the whole session. I thought I was in a little concurrent session. So I prefer being behind the scenes. So it is a little like intimidating for me to be like speaking in front of a big crowd. But I do think, like everything they're saying, it's like do it with confidence, but also like just breathe. Before like I came in, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize the whole room. So I'm like, let me just take a little breath. So the breathing is a good piece.
And thank you for doing that. I appreciate you.
So I have a phrase, and it is, I'm happy to address that as soon as I'm finished. So I say the same thing every time. I'm happy to address that as soon as I'm finished. And they're just like, well, okay then. All right then. Just, your thought is not more important than mine? I don't need a well, actually. No. I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm here. And at least you said, I walk into every room with confidence. I'm 5'11". I don't shrink for anybody. Ever. I got my natural hair. I will wear my lip bar, my hoops. This is who I am. This is how I show up. And I don't have to address, European norms for beauty, because Black beauty is the standard. Let's be clear. I don't have to shrink myself. I don't have to not wear heels because I'm 6'2", 6'3" in heels, and the average man is about 5'7", 5'8". I don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So there are so many things that when we come in as ourselves and everything that we know we hold, they're the ones who should be intimidated. Not us. Like, not ever. You know what I'm saying? So it's a mind shift of, one, if you're in a space where you're not valued, you don't have to prove your value, because that takes away from everything when you start trying to prove that you're the smartest in the room and you start trying to prove that you deserve to be here. Give them what you got and keep it moving. They either appreciate you or they don't, but it doesn't discount you. It shouldn't change how you feel about yourself. It shouldn't change your self-worth. It is, the intimidation factor is also rooted in white supremacy. So the battle against white supremacy every day, it shows up in everything that we do, whether it's our hair, how we dress, the cars we drive, just everything. So that's always in the back of my mind is, yeah, this is just another little thing of white supremacy that I'm going to take out. Either by the way I speak, by the way I walk, by the way I'm following Alicia wherever she goes. She fighting in front of me, I'm right behind her. So it's, let intimidation go, right? Let it go the same way as Jim Crow. Just, it's in the past.